Okay, superstars, we're back, and we're on chapter 8 of Lulu is Getting a Sister. Things aren't going so well, right? Remember that Scrabble game? That was not successful for our Lulu. So let's see where we find her in chapter 8. 20 minutes later, after Lulu has changed into dry clothes, Lulu and Mitzi were sitting in the office of a smiling, call me Debbie. The mom who had poured the water in Lulu's head had left the room after explaining why she'd done what she'd done. It was like there was steam coming out of her ears, and now the girls were taking turns insisting that what had happened had absolutely been the other girl's fault. Feelings were hurt, tempers were lost, and lessons need to be learned, said Call Me Debbie, giving each girl an encouraging pat on the back. And I need to stop saying this, but she was still smiling. So, what are the lessons? You shouldn't be a sore loser, said Mitzi. You shouldn't be a rude winner, said Lulu. I just love that their faces are the same. They've got the eye roll going. That's excellent, girls. Just listen to each other. And also, said Call Me Debbie, when you meet tomorrow morning, try to do a little less inside and a little more outside. She paused for a moment, perhaps to make sure they were listening to her. And then she repeated warningly, don't forget, less inside, more outside, or else it's going to go in your permanent record. Lulu had no idea what go on your permanent record meant, and neither do I, but she knew that she didn't like the way it sounded. So, when she and her sibling met on Tuesday morning, she announced that they'd skip the game's cabin and head directly down to the lake for a swim. When they reached the water's edge, Lulu said, let's race, and just to make it fair, and because she figured she'd win by a mile, I'll give you a head start by counting slowly to 10 before I jump in. So here's the picture with Call Me Debbie. By the time Lulu finished counting, however, the race was already over and she had lost. Lost to this pint-sized, not yet 8-year-old. Next time, I'm only counting to 5. She announced, but it didn't help. She lost to this pint-sized, frizzy-haired, not yet 8-year-old. And even when Lulu said, you're not getting any more head starts, she was beaten a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th time. Beaten 5 times in a row by this pint-sized, frizzy-haired, button-nosed, not yet 8-year-old, who did just a little victory dance and only a few I wons, then stroked Lulu's arm with pity in her eyes. Poor Lulu, she said, but you shouldn't feel bad. Please do not feel bad. You tried so hard. You did the best you could. I don't need you feeling sorry for me, said Lulu, who was absolutely outraged that she was being treated so, what's the right word? So, I think we should go with condescendingly, which is when a person believes she's much better and so much greater than somebody else that she acts all gooey and kind to the poor little thing. Condescendingly. I'm only feeling sorry for you because there's no way you could beat me, she replied. I've been on a swim team ever since I was 3, and then she goes again, stroking Lulu's arm. You swam very well. You did some excellent kicking. Good job. Lulu did not want to hear good job from some pint-sized, frizzy-haired, button-nosed, blue-eyed, incredibly irritating, not yet 8-year-old. Stop talking, Mitzi, she shouted, and listen to me. Wait, first listen to me. There's something important I've got to tell you, the girl insisted. Like more things, Lulu growled. You do better than me? No, it's about a little trick that just got played on you. She cleared her throat and said softly, I'm Fritzy, not Mitzi. Say that again, said Lulu, who couldn't believe what she just heard. I'm Fritzy, Mitzi's twin, and no one can ever tell us apart. So we thought that it would be fun for us to switch places. For quite a while after the news was delivered, neither girl said a word. Fritzy just stood there, looking quietly pleased with herself. Lulu also just stood there, angrily thinking about the things she didn't think. Lulu didn't think being tricked was fun. She didn't think that losing 5 races was fun, and she certainly didn't think it was fun to be treated so, what's that word, so condescendingly, like Fritzy was great, and she was some pitiful thing. Just thinking about how not fun it all was, Lulu got madder and madder. And if a parent hadn't been quietly lurking in the background, she'd have grabbed a huge hunk of Fritzy's hair and pulled. Instead, she made her meanest face, and in her meanest voice, she chanted this chant. If I had met a wicked witch, I'd happily have kissed her if in exchange she swore I'd never have you for a sister. Fritzy, to Lulu's great annoyance, did not seem the slightest bit bothered by this chant, so Lulu decided to go for a second verse. And if she wanted more than 10 more kisses, I'd have kissed her. If 10 more times she would have sworn you'd never be my sister. Fritzy continued to barely pay attention, and this made Lulu so much madder than she thought before that even though a parent was quietly lurking in the background, she grabbed a huge hunk of Fritzy's hair and pulled. That wasn't nice, was it? Sounds more like the Lulu we know, though. Chapter 9. Very soon after, Lulu was once again sitting with Fritzy in Call Me Debbie's office, being told, as she knew this already, that pulling someone's hair was unacceptable. Being told, though she doubted it, that what seemed like Fritzy acting condescendingly was Fritzy truly trying to be kind. Being told, though she disagreed, that anybody who had a good sense of humor would surely have thought the twin switching trick was hilarious. And also being told that since she was the temporary older sister, she had to be better behaved than a younger sister, even when that pint-sized, and I won't bother with the words, younger sister had beaten her at swimming and at Scrabble. Okay, that's an envelope containing hair, and it says, for Fritzy. Oh, it says, please return to Fritzy. Chapter 10. By now, it was time for another yummy, delicious Camp Sisterhood lunch, 12 to 1, after which came an afternoon 1 to 5 of freedom and fun for the SITs who had spent the entire morning, 8 to 12, trying to have a happy sibling experience. Meanwhile, the SITs who had spent the morning, 8 to 12, having freedom and fun, now got to spend the afternoon, 1 to 5, trying to have a happy sibling experience. Are you following me? It isn't that hard. Keep up. The freedom and fun activities were, just to mention a few, board games, ball games, arts and crafts, swimming, hiking, climbing, kayaking, computers, and scavenger hunts. The happy sibling activities were the same, except instead of doing them with the SITs, who were more or less your own age, people that you chose and wanted to be with, you had to do them with some little kid who wasn't your first or even your 50th choice. Which brings us to the next morning, when Lulu was introduced to Sebastian, whose older sister she was about to become. Sebastian, I've always liked that name, except that it's one of those names that it's impossible to find a nickname for. Seb, Sebi, Basti, Asti, Tinny, Yinny, what? If anyone out there has a suggestion, please send a postcard to me. Meanwhile, Lulu is calling him Sebastian. Looking at Sebastian with his bitten nails, untied sneakers, and runny nose, Lulu could tell that he was no Mitzi or Fritzy. He wouldn't be a talking machine, he wouldn't be condescending, he wouldn't be winning any kind of game. In fact, she was so positive that she would be beating him all the time at everything that perhaps, as sisterly tip number 2 had suggested, she could even let him win every now and then. though not a lot, though maybe hardly at all, though forget it. He should learn to be a good loser. Okay, we're going to stop at chapter 11, and we're going to find out what happens when Lulu becomes Sebastian's SIT, sister in training. We're about halfway through the book, you guys, so we should finish this in plenty of time for summer break. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you next time with a few more chapters. Bye!